A long time ago, on a gloomy, wet Cleveland spring night, two men stand alone amidst the late-night drizzle. Their voices echo across the vacant station parking lot as they debate the merits of the great American radio show that have been missing for far too long. On that night, an idea was born. That idea became the FDH Lounge. Welcome to the FDH Lounge.
Welcome to mini-episode number 8 of the FDH Lounge and our first adaptation of the FantasyDraftHelp.com Insider in this format after 7 seasons on our previous platform. This is FDH Managing Partner Rick Morris here with our NFL Week 1 version of the Insider as we deliver our lineup advice for this slate of action. First of all, since we have different websites where this is available, we urge you to view this on our fantasy blog at FantasyDraftHelp.blogspot.com because of the links we posted that precede this webcast. In particular, we have links to our Fantasy Football Draftology 2011 guide, Google News and CBSSports.com for injury news, and the NFL.com Week 1 homepage for scores and updates. Look on the blog for Fantasy Newsletter Volume 4, Issue 35, posted on September 10th, to find the weekly fantasy newsletter with the accompanying links where this video is embedded. We've got some additional preface notes that we'll be delivering every week as well. First of all, our advice is probably a bit different than some in the industry. We're not the place to go regarding the question of whether or not to play a healthy Aaron Rodgers this week. Aside from reiterating our list of gimmies, we don't discuss them beyond that. We're also not part of the movement that overstates the importance of week-to-week matchups. Sadly, if you bungled your draft or auction, there's not much except a stroke of great luck on the waiver wire that can salvage your season. We play the percentages on giving our advice, which is all that anyone can do, even those in the industry who purport to own a crystal ball. You'll always get intellectual honesty from us. Okay, here's our list of constants for the season. When healthy, you don't jerk with these guys. You leave them in your lineup regardless of scary matchups. At quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Phillip Rivers, Drew Brees, Michael Vick, Peyton Manning, Tony Romo, Matt Schaub. Now, obviously, Peyton scrubbed from that list for quite some time and possibly the season, but if healthy, we wouldn't advocate pulling him or the others from your lineup at any time. At running back, Chris Johnson, Adrian Peterson, Jamal Charles, LaShawn McCoy, Ray Rice, Mo Jones-Drew, Arian Foster, Richard Mendenhall, Michael Turner, Darren McFadden, Matt Forte, Peyton Hillis, Ahmad Bradshaw, Frank Gore, D'Angelo Williams, Jonathan Stewart, LeGarrette Blount, and Steven Jackson. At wide receiver, Andre Johnson, Roddy White, Calvin Johnson, Greg Jennings, Hakeem Nicks, Reggie Wayne, Mike Wallace, Larry Fitzgerald, Miles Austin, Deshaun Jackson, Mike Williams, parentheses Tampa Bay, Dwayne Bowe, Marcus Colston, Jeremy Maclin, Vincent Jackson, Dez Bryant, and Brandon Marshall. Again, Colston is hurt now, but he is an every week play when healthy. At tight end, Antonio Gates, Dallas Clark, Jason Witten, Vernon Davis, and Jermichael Finley. Now, our advice is relative, and there are exceptions to every rule. As a general guide to our approach, we factor in a PPR assumption since so many leagues have at least some component of that in their scoring system these days. Additionally, our advice is able to be applied most precisely to a 12-team league in terms of the proportions of value. As such, based on the players who are our perennial recommendations for the season, there are 8 QBs, 18 running backs, 17 wide receivers, and 5 tight ends who are always worth playing if healthy. Those baseline numbers provide a useful guide into the strength of various positions from week to week. Okay, with our lengthy but necessary setup out of the way, let's go into this week's best lineup plays. At quarterback, we recommend both Ben Roethlisberger and Joe Flacco in the Baltimore-Pittsburgh tilt, Matt Ryan, Jay Cutler, Colt McCoy, Kerry Collins, Matt Castle, Matt Stafford, Josh Freeman, Kevin Kolb, Eli Manning, and Mark Sanchez. Taken with the players you should never remove from your lineup, minus Peyton Manning, that makes a grand total of 23 quarterbacks who we are comfortable recommending, way more than the usual, and that marks QB as a position of insane depth for Week 1. At running back, the herd is much thinner. Cedric Benson, Javid Best, Beanie Wells, Ryan Matthews, and Marshawn Lynch combined with the perennial recommendations to comprise a field of 23 recommended backs for the week. That's not great, but not horrible either. At wide receiver, it's a similar picture with 22 recommendations, minus Marcus Colston, who already got hurt. Among the marginal candidates this week, we advise you to go with Lee Evans, Kenny Britt, Stevie Johnson, Mario Manningham, and the irrepressible Chad Ochocinco in his New England debut Monday night. Tight end is kind of a grim picture this week. Along with our 5 perennial recommendations, we have only 3 others to add for the week: Tony Gonzalez, Owen Daniels, and Greg Olson. We like to single out some players as stronger options every week, so here's our top 5 in no particular order. The Atlanta battery of Matt Ryan to Tony Gonzalez, Kevin Kolb in his Arizona debut, and the New York quarterback exacta of Mark Sanchez and Eli Manning. Additionally, each week we take a look at the NFL teams we consider to be all in or all out. All in constitutes recommendations at the full range of QB, RB1, WR1, WR2, and tight end. All out teams have only their perennial recommendations to go on every week with no marginal players suggested. We have no all-in recommendations for Week 1. There are 7 all-out plays, though: Jacksonville, St. Louis, Minnesota, Washington, Miami, Dallas, and Philadelphia. Now, to keep things in their proper context, let's look at the last 2. For Dallas, Felix Jones at running back is the only week-to-week question among offensive fantasy starters in our book, while Brent Selleck at Philly is the only question. So for both teams to be all out, it simply means that you bench the only player among the 5 aforementioned spots that comes into play each week. So there's your recommendations for NFL Week 1. We welcome any questions, and we may answer them here from week to week. Become a friend of FantasyDraftHelp.com on Facebook, or hit us up on Twitter, where our identity is the FDH Lounge with no spaces and the T, F, D, H, and L capitalized. Go break off a little value on your opponent this week, and be sure to sample our other Nothing is Off-Topic mini episodes from the FDH Lounge.